demolishing shanties and illegal structures, midnight raids on suspected black spots, and a profiling of 480 suspects. These are all efforts by the FCT administration to tackle insecurity in Abuja, and we show you more in our focus on the FCT. Our guest on the program is a former Inspector General of Police, and to be honest, after speaking to him, I wish the Nigerian government had acted earlier to these insecurity threats way before now. We also have our Abuja wrap, so ladies and gentlemen, sit back. This is Dateline Abuja. Hello and welcome to Dateline Abuja. I am Kayla Megwa. Let's begin with a rundown of major stories from Nigeria's seat of power.
President Muhammadu Buhari hosted the Indian Minister of State for External and Parliamentary Affairs at the State House and went down memory lane on his one-year training in the country as a military officer. The minister is in the country to take part in the Nigeria-Indian Business Council. In the meantime, Vice President Yemi Osinbajo is making a case for increased Indian investments in Nigeria's education and health sectors. Professor Osinbajo was represented at the Nigeria-India Economic and Diplomatic Dialogue by the Minister of Mines and Steel Development, Mr. Olamilekun Adegbite.
I feel that there's also a need to put emphasis on skills acquisition and capacity building, which will place large numbers of young people on the workplace, as well as boost the nation's capacity in innovation and technology, as well as contribute to the nation's economic growth. Other areas of emphasis will include encouraging Indian investors to consider providing here in Nigeria some of the medical and educational services for which Nigerians travel to India.
President Muhammadu Buhari has assured that Nigeria is ready for exploration and interaction between Nigerian biomedical scientists and officials of the Federal Ministry of Health. The partnership between the biotech company and the Ministry of Health is to advance the local production of vaccines in Nigeria. He gave the assurance while receiving the Executive Secretary of Kenap Foundation and representatives of the CEO of BioNTech.
Our administration wants to build partnership for national and regional capacity in research and development, clinical trials, and capacity for in-country adequate manufacturing of items critical to our national health security. We are impressed with the numerous possibilities said to be around the RNA technology, and hence seek cooperation with well-intentioned organizations, including yours. The Bio-Vaccines Nigeria Limited, a public-private partnership company, and other private companies are at varying stages of acquiring capacities for vaccines manufacturing in Nigeria.
The president has vowed to resist any attempt to undermine the development of sports in the country, declaring that football, as the number one sport in Nigeria, remains a national asset. He made the pledge while receiving the 10-year Football Development Master Plan, presented to him by the Minister of Youth and Sports Development, Mr. Sunday Dari.
Nigeria will not take lightly at any attempt to inflict injury on its football fortunes. This government is interested in developing a football culture that will accommodate football best practices and that will help the nation to lay a solid foundation for her domestic football.
Professor Yemi Osinbajo physically attended this week's Federal Executive Council meeting for the first time since his surgical operation on July 16. He has since been recuperating while attending official functions virtually. At the end of the meeting, which was presided over by President Buhari, the Minister of Transport, Mr. Muazu Sambo, told State House correspondents that the federal government will not recommend the Abuja-Kaduna train services for now because it will be insensitive to the plight of families whose loved ones are still in captivity.
We are pursuing these two things at the same time. Trying to get the victims of the kidnap released, and at the same time looking for the best solution in terms of surveillance. We are looking at so many options. We want to go for the best one, a sustainable one, and don't forget, ultimately, whatever we have as a template between Abuja and Kaduna that succeeds would also serve the thousands of kilometers of rail lines across the country. If I give you a timeline now, I'll be lying to you. But I can tell you one thing. We are working day and night. For goodness sake, wouldn't it be insensitive of us to resume these services, even if security surveillance was in place, as long as some members, some citizens of this country spend days and nights weeping over their loved ones that are held in the bush.
Meanwhile, the Vice President has inaugurated the National Council on Infrastructure during a virtual meeting. He noted the progress in infrastructure while listing the plans to further reduce the deficits. In the meantime, Professor Yemi Oshibajo says Africa's increasing energy gaps requires collaboration to take ownership of the continent's transition pathways, and the action should be decisive and urgent. He stated this in a remark at the global virtual launch of Nigeria's Energy Transition Plan, a roadmap to tackle the dual crisis of energy poverty and climate change. The federal government received the draft white paper on Orasanye reports submitted by the Committee on Restructuring and Rationalization of Federal Parastatals, Agencies and Commissions created between 2012 and 2021. Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Mr. Boss Mustafa, received the reports.
It is important to note that the high cost of governance in Nigeria and revenue challenges being experienced in the midst of competing societal demands are of serious concern to the federal government. Therefore, all that is necessary would be done to ensure that no sector is neglected. I have no doubt in my mind that the knowledge, experience, and expertise members brought to bear in the course of the assignment would guide the federal government in addressing the high cost of governance and other associated problems. It is also commendable that the committee was able to complete the assignment within the 6-week time frame given to them, which further demonstrate the seriousness and passion members conducted the work. I want to express the federal government's gratitude to the chairman, Engineer Bello Okeke, CFR, and all members of the committee for their commitment and steadfastness.
The federal government has signed an agreement with the United States for the repatriation of $23.4 million as part of monies looted by former military head of state, late General Sani Abacha. The signing of the agreement was held at the conference hall of the Federal Ministry of Justice, where the Minister of Justice and Attorney General of the Federation, Mr. Abubakar Malami, signed on behalf of the federal government, while the U.S. Ambassador to Nigeria, Ambassador Mary Leonard, signed on behalf of the United States government.
It is worthy of note that in line with the term of the agreement, Mr. President has already approved that the funds be utilized for the ongoing Presidential Development Infrastructural Funds projects, namely Abuja-Kano Road, Lagos-Ibadan Expressway, and the second Niger Bridge under the supervision of Nigerian Sovereign Investment Authority, NSIA. The President's mandate to the Office of the Attorney General is to ensure that all international recoveries are transparently invested and monitored by civil society organizations.
Welcome back. In our focus on the FCT, we take a look at efforts by the FCT administration to sanitize Abuja of these criminal elements and make we, the residents, feel a little bit safer. Please watch this.
A joint task force of the Federal Capital Territory Administration moved into this area in Gadua village in the Abuja Municipal Area Council, demolishing every illegal structure in sight. Confusion and tears as some residents make frantic efforts to salvage some of their belongings before the buildings crumble under the heavy weight of the bulldozer. Officials say the exercise, which took place in the three villages of Gadua, Baduma and Durumi Phase 3, is part of efforts by the Federal Capital Territory Administration to address insecurity in the nation's capital.
Today we had two operations. The one at Gadua, stretching from the Gadua junction down to the village community, and the one here at Kaswandere in Asukuru at the entry point into Akpaduma village. We have seen it really very worrisome. The one here, we have gotten too much complaint that criminals here have really gathered here and they've been attacking, let me not say VIPs, other Nigerians who are living here, both the VIPs, even the poor among themselves, even the indigenous people have complained that they have been robbed by criminals at Kaswan Adere here. They have had a series of complaints. So today we come in here to clear this one. We're clearing as well the criminal elements around the Gadua area, stretching from Gadua Owando down to Gadua village around the NCDC lab.
However, some of the residents say they were not given any prior notice before the demolition is carried out.
To be sincere, you can ask the villagers. There is no day and no how they give 2 months notice, and we are living here for more than 20 years that we don't know.
Earlier, a joint security task force carried out a midnight raid around the nation's capital. The team raided uncompleted buildings, undeveloped plots and green areas in Maitama and Wuse 2 areas and arrested 480 suspects. The operation was carried out by a task force that comprises the police, army, navy, air force, Nigeria Security and Civil Defense Corps (NSCDC), Immigration Service, the Department of State Service, and other sister security agencies. Items recovered from them include police uniforms, mobile phones, a loaded pistol, machetes, 1 international passport, and charms.
We started by 1 a.m. This is about 3 a.m. This is what we have been able to do. They decided to say Abuja will not be safe, but by the grace of God, it will be safe. Abuja will be safe. You can see the other people who got this side. They specialize in robbing. They will have different uniforms. You can see we got them with police uniform. And it's just regrettable. With whatever equipment, in one of the camps here, we recovered a pistol, brown pistol, fully loaded, because we took them by surprise. That was why we were able to recover what we have been able to recover. Well, we continue to take them by surprise. This operation will not stop. We have agreed that we fight us, you will fight you. If anybody die, okay. We were ready to expect casualty from us. If you didn't die, you will be inside the prison yard. If you are not inside prison yard, you will be in custody like this. Or you leave town before we catch you. That is the 4-point agenda of this operation. And we are going to carry it out to the letter.
The team hopes to extend the operation to all the 21 satellite towns in the nation's capital, while those arrested will be profiled to determine if they will face any prosecution.
Do you feel safer? Maybe a little. But I still have fears, as I'm sure many of you do. My guest on the program is a former Inspector General of Police, Mr. Mike Okiro. He paints a broader picture of the sheer scale of this insecurity challenge and what we should be doing as citizens the upcoming elections, and calls to overhaul Nigeria's security architecture. Mr. Michael Kiro, welcome to Dateline Abuja.
Thank you very much.
Let's talk about where we are. Because we're facing insecurity in almost every region in this country as we speak right now. We were in the nation's capital when, many years ago, for the first time, we were able to see terrorists actually in action in the city center, and all whatnot. What do you make of the situation right now? And is there any way out?
The situation is very bad and very, very bad. But it can still be salvaged. All the government needs to do is to simply for training. Special training, anti-terrorist training. Equip them to match what they have. Because you cannot fight.
Are we going to start doing training while the problem is
No. You're not going to won't send everybody for training. If I start training since 6 months is enough. If we wait, you say the time is so bad, you cannot train them, we are going to train them. Special training for anti-terrorism. Then equip them properly. Because for you to fight crime, not only terrorism, for you to fight crime, it will be a step or two ahead. You cannot fight people, you cannot go and fight anti-robbers with AK-47 where it is something more greater than yours. You cannot fight them.
Are you saying that terrorists are more equipped than the Nigerian police?
I would say they are more equipped, but Nigerian police don't go to more equipped than them. Not in Nigerian police, even the terror security agencies, that are more equipped than the terrorists themselves. Have to get more information than them, more equipment, both technological and even human, than them. You can confront them. A station where you see literally, I said, come on bicycle or motorcycle. The motorcycle carry 2 of them, each of them with AK-47, 3 or 4 magazines. Each magazine carry about 10 or 20 rifles. They overwhelm the security agencies. They can overrun the police station. So you need to equip the agencies very well.
I know you're referring to the Kuje attacks that happened not too long ago. It's still mind-boggling to a lot of Nigerians, myself inclusive, how a correctional center was attacked successfully.
It boggled my mind too. One, they should have had enough equipment to even see them before they even come. There's enough intelligence.
The laxity that came out of that particular attack, I remember the Senate president at the time was talking about the fact that there were no security cameras in the place.
It's funny.
How did that happen? Is that a possibility? Who's to be fired? Who's supposed to be punished for this laxity?
It's also that there should be training. If I was on course in the U.S., and in Poland, Oregon, go to Seattle. That correctional center in Seattle. If we get a place, nobody can come out. Nobody can really go in. The way it is done with cameras, well fortified.
So who should be punished for this laxity?
Everybody should be punished, including me and you and I. If people have information, they should pass the people. They pass the security.
It didn't have security cameras. This is a very straightforward question. It didn't have security cameras. Who was supposed to ensure that a correctional center, I can't even believe we're having this conversation. How can a correctional center not have security cameras? Whose responsibility? Is it the prison service? Is it the Minister of Interior? Who was supposed to ensure that this particular correctional center had at least security cameras for us to be able to see who comes in?
There should be not only cameras, there should be enough security there, enough intelligence there, and even a pin drops.
Yes,
the camera should pick it.
So who? You don't want to answer this question.
No, the heads must show. Heads are about to roll.
So who is supposed to be the person responsible for that?
I don't know the minister. Okay, the Christian said I can't tell you, but heads must roll. They must know who is responsible for this, and how they must roll. We can't just do like this. If we do like this, then to attend Israel, people can behave as they like. Something must be done to show example. Who is responsible for this type of thing? Why was it not done? So I wouldn't tell you who is responsible. But whoever is responsible for that must pay for it.
Let's talk a bit about the security situation right now. What are we doing wrong? Of course, we've started a lot of citizen engagement. If you see something, say something. Everybody has been saying that. I say it all the time. But where are we getting it wrong? From your experience as a former Inspector General of Police, what should we be doing differently?
We got it wrong everywhere. For the government, the last person in Nigeria.
In what ways?
I thought about equipment and training of the security agencies, the police. That's the responsibility of government. Commitment to duty, patriotism, and devotion. The responsibility of the security agencies themselves, the police. The citizen itself a responsibility. If you see it, say it, like you just said. But some people don't. Only when it concerns them as individuals, they come up.
Let's talk a bit about community policing, because that's something that you've been a strong advocate of. Do you think that's one of the situations that, we're lacking, in this war against terrorism? Because a lot of the problems that we see with terrorism is at the local levels. Kuje, for instance, it's one of the suburbs in the FCT. We kept talking about how these people were able to move from one state to the other. And a lot of people have identified a failure of local authority that has created a laxity where they can move from one community to the other in those local areas. How can community policing help this?
Yeah, I was invited to Washington, D.C. I think 2014 or 15. They were part on security. I thought about what was happening in Borno State, JTF. They tried to assist the police, the security agencies, the military especially, when Boko Haram came up newly. And they played a major role. They tried before they overwhelmed. And I brought this idea of civilian joint force, where civilians will work along with the military. In situations where we have insecurity and insurgency, banditry, and so on and so forth. Of course, civilian task force will help. So that is also aligning with community policing, but going beyond it. Because a couple of countries have gone beyond community policing. Community policing does not fight. They give information, they assist the police, they give information to the police behind the scene. But civil task force comes out plainly, openly, supports the community, even fighting the insurgents in the community. They do that. I brought that idea in I delivered a paper in Washington, D.C., and I wrote the government when I came back. I was invited, got off seats, to come and present the paper in the time of President Jonathan. I printed the paper, the civilian task force. But so along the line, the faith wasn't yet ready. And a lot of things are ready in Nigeria, but at the end of the day, finally, we have missed the mark. They discuss it and they say if it wasn't ready, already have the police, the military, and then having a third force. They call it third force to fight insecurity, the TB. I said, okay. I said, well, I have done my bit. This paper delivered in America was acclaimed in America, in Washington, D.C. Even Nigeria, not taking Nigeria. Well, I've done my best.
Well, that's all the time we have for this interview. But thank you so much, Mr. Michael Kiro, for being with us on Dateline Abuja, and good luck with the work that you do.
Thank you so much.
Thanks to my guest and to everyone who spoke to us today on the program. These attacks have made many of us in Abuja feel very unsafe. So we must be more vigilant and take steps to keep ourselves safe. If you see something, say something. Find out the contact details of the divisional police officer in the area command where you reside and keep it on your phone. I have mine on speed dial. Please stay safe. Verify information before you spread it and remain calm. That's Dateline Abuja this week. Please let us know the happenings in your neighborhood using the social media handles showing right now on your screen. Thank you so much for watching. I am Kayla Megwa. See you next time.